StreamYard. Hey everyone, welcome to our Facebook Live. Melody and I have been working frantically behind the scenes to see if we could get this split screen happening. And thanks to my good buddy Sean, we've got it figured out. So happy to be here with you today. We are posting from Parents Aware, but as you know, we are the Media Savvy Moms team. And today we're going to be talking about social distancing during COVID-19, kind of the effect that it's had on our families. We've been listening to parents and we know that everyone's feeling the weight of this. So it's all about keeping our kids healthy and safe, following protocols, but also remaining sane during this crazy period of adjustment, right, Melody?
I'm totally sane. I don't want to.
That's not what you said this morning to me.
I'm totally showered and dressed from my waist down, right?
Okay, so I thought we could just start it. I'm just moving my camera here. Maybe I'm not on that camera.
You're good. You're showing up.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can.
So, where were you when you heard?
So
Maryland
is in Toronto and I'm in Virginia. So we're actually so international. We're getting this from across the border in 2 different countries. When I heard about COVID-19, gosh,
we heard about it weeks ago. Obviously, we've been following it in the news. But when you heard that your child was all of a sudden going to be with you 24/7.
I have a funny story about this, actually. I don't think I told you this story yet, Mare.
Nope.
So we were actually going to go on vacation this weekend, and we're a little bit preppers. So we kind of have like a year supply of food anyway and stuff. And so we're like, meh, we'll go on vacation anyway. So, but
when you say vacation, you mean local. You weren't traveling to Mexico.
Not to Mexico, but we did drive 8 hours and we went to New York.
Yes.
So my husband sent me out to get snacks for the trip. And I knew everything was kind of going haywire. And so I was like, well, I'm at the grocery store and getting snacks. Maybe I'll get like 2 or 3 weeks worth of groceries anyway. And so I'm at Aldi. You guys have Aldi? It's pretty small.
I know what it is. We don't have it.
It's not a really big grocery store. Usually people walk in for like 2 or 3 things in their arms. You have to bag your own groceries. Like, it's just not a big place. So I walk in there and I come out with like a huge grocery cart full. I ended up with 11 bags of groceries. And I kid you not, like, people behind me were like whispering. They're like, oh my gosh, look at that lady. Like, she's so weird. But during my trip to the grocery store, I got the automated call from Chesterfield County Schools, and they're like, we're going to be closing tomorrow. And I was like, And then, like, as I was walking to my car, they're like, we're closed for 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, those people, they're going to be like, oh, that lady. I'm like, who's laughing now?
Did it stress you out? The idea of having...
Not really, because we're weird and we're like super prepared and we've already got stuff ready to go.
Well, I will tell you, here we are on March break. It's called March break because it's actually not officially spring yet, but we are on March break. Our kids' last day of school before this school break was Thursday. And then, of course, the text came through or the email came through at about 4:30 p.m. on Thursday that the schools would not just be closed for their regular week, which I was already geared up for. So I'm like, okay, I geared up for kids being home for 8 days and then back to school. And then, by the way, we are not entering school again till April 7th.
Okay, so there's a caveat here because you asked if I was worried, and I have to say I felt prepared physically. Like, we have supplies, like, we're set for supplies, right? But the emotional impact, that hit on a different level, and
Yes.
that, right? That's
Uh-huh.
different. It's different. It's different than being prepared with food and supplies to be prepared emotionally for the impact of this, because it's different,
Yep.
right? So,
So our first day of this, we were on the phone trying to figure out how to get our son back from university in the United States. We didn't know how urgent it was at that point. We just knew that elementary and high schools were closed. And then quickly everything changed. And so we're like, are you driving home? Are you renting a car? Are you going with friends? Are you getting on an airplane? Do we even want you on an airplane? So a whole day, one whole day was just eaten up, just worrying about that. And it sounds so basic, like just pick up the phone and get a flight.
not, because you're in a different country even too, right? And then they closed the borders to Canada.
Yeah. So we didn't even know if we were making the right decision at first. And now we're glad that everybody is back at home safe. And yeah. Anyway, today we don't want to dwell too long about on the impact it's had on us, but we just wanted you to know that we are feeling what we've read and listened to so many other parents feeling, that this sudden shift in how we're dealing with our families and our kids, it does have an emotional impact on us. So we want to acknowledge that struggle today. We're going to talk about it a little more as it relates to other families. We're going to talk about solutions. We're going to talk about the problem that we have, but we also, because we are always about solutions here at Parents Aware and at Media Savvy Moms, we want to talk about what you can do. Now, when we talk about solutions, it's not just building a beautiful chart and sticking to it, because we know that that's not always going to be a great solution for every family.
But why? Because not every family is the same, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about different families, different situations. Your family, Melody, is completely different than my family situation at this time. And then we're going to, talk about being kind to ourselves and how, I skipped the middle step. We're going to talk about this family power meeting, because we got to get the family on board for getting ourselves through this crisis, right?
Absolutely. Okay. So the struggle is real, and the struggle is different for everybody, right? So different dynamics, different size of families. Some people have are working from home. Some people are not. Some people have bigger families with more children. Some people have less. We were talking about how you have more children and they're more independent. I only have one.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in an easier situation with, I have a college kid at home. I've got a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old. And honestly, the 16-year-old loves schedules. He's a very organized kid. And so he's kind of been my saving grace during this, because we've got a bit of a plan and he makes sure that the plan happens. But
You'd think it'd be easier to have fewer kids, maybe if you have 6, because we've been talking to a lot of different moms, right?
Uh-huh.
One of my best friends has been commenting on her stuff. She has 6, and 2 of them are twins and special needs.
Okay.
And then she has newborn-ish, and so that's a lot.
Yeah, I have a friend who has child with high functioning autism, and she relies on his daily programs to get through the week. And so she's feeling that burden. So we recognize that everybody's coming at this from different struggles. Our heart goes out to those single parents who are trying to maintain an income and take care of their kids at the same time. That's a tough call.
Right. And I'm working from home and I have one.
Mm-hmm.
So I am the end all be all, right? I'm the entertainment, I'm the structure, I'm the friend to play with. I'm, trying to be the all, and it's really hard. I don't have 6 and I don't have the challenges that my friend does, but I have different challenges, right?
Yeah.
So
I honestly thought, well, maybe we have to postpone the podcast for a little while. That was a thought that went through my head because we put a lot of time and effort into producing content each week.
Yeah, and my child is downstairs with his brain turning to mush
Yeah,
watching.
both our children at this time are on screens, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But there was a post that went out on a parenting in the tech world, which is a community that we follow. And I will tell you that post had 2,000 reactions to it because it was about how we're all struggling to figure out a way to manage our time, our work, and our kids. Boom, all of a sudden. It's not like summer vacation where we've had this in our mind and have been preparing for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the very first thing that we did, this was on Friday morning, I said, okay, at this point, there were 2 boys at home. I said, we are having our family power meeting. Do you guys have family power meetings, or do you know what I'm talking about?
We do. Yeah. And yes. And this has to look different for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was thinking when I was thinking about our power meeting that it may be harder for working parents to make time for a power meeting, right? So maybe have your power meeting at the dinner table because you're going to be there anyway.
Okay.
Right?
So here's the thing with a power meeting.
Oh, tell me.
It's a chance to regroup.
Okay.
And if you power meetings can happen spontaneously anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
So they can be any length of time, but you do it when you have to solve a problem.
Okay. I'm glad you specified that because see, I feel personally like a little overwhelmed with that idea of a family power meeting being a working mom because I'm like, oh, I'm already overwhelmed.
No. This is think of it as your family is your team, okay? And you got to gather them around and get them to each other. Now, tomorrow, Melody and I are going to be interviewing Greta Eskridge from Ma and Pa Modern, and she's a home educator, and I think she's going to have a different perspective on this. But here's my take on how to gather my kids and get them on my team, get me on their team. Like it's not I'm the boss and you're my little employees at home.
So important.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we gather each other around. We put the issue on the table. In this case, it's social distancing. It's COVID-19. This could work for anything. Mm-hmm. Okay, kids, like what's the problem? What are we going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And my concern was, how are you two going to be entertained through the day, right? How are you going to make some smart decisions through the day? What is our day going to look like? And so we just mapped it out and we talked about what they would do first thing when they wake up in the morning. Now, this isn't this isn't a set in stone structured plan. It's just to get it on the table so that we know what each other's expectations are. Mm-hmm. Okay. And for our family, first thing in the morning, they're going to watch TV. I don't want anyone going alarm bells off, but we're being realistic.
Yeah.
Okay. So they have a little bit of TV time, but I also don't want that TV on all day.
Right.
I don't want the video games on all day. So part of our power meeting is to say, where's the give and take on this and why? Okay. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Yeah, I hear you. And yeah, we were talking about how, well, first of all, we have a tool to make this happen. This isn't some ambiguous oh, out there, make a plan, write it down with a piece of paper and pencil, because you can do that. But we made a tool for you guys.
Yep.
We made a do-it-yourself, and we've seen a little pushback on the structured to-do list schedule that's going to be cookie cutter for everybody's families. So what we did was we put together a do-it-yourself COVID-19 family plan where you fill in the blanks and you make what works for you. But it starts with a way questions to ask as a family and go through, and you'll love it. You will love it. We're gonna have it as an opt-in through Parents Aware, so that you can sit down and you fill in the blanks and do it yourself. Right?
We'll figure out how to put it in the comment section eventually. So,
Like
just
a
going back
worksheet,
to this
right?
idea of getting kids involved, one of the things that's really important to address is like, give them ideas on what they could do during the day. Kids are a bit stressed about this situation as well. Like I know some it can be an obstacle to think, what can I do next? Like I'm limited in my imagination. I'm so used to coming home from school and
Mhm.
either having uh, like
Structure.
a piano lesson to go to, a youth group to go to, or
Mhm.
I sit down and watch my favorite show on TV. I do my
Or a
homework.
sport or something, right?
All of that is gone temporarily. So give them a list of ideas to go through. Now, one of the things I suggested, and we haven't,
Or let them make the list.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just going to get their mind going, because once you start adding suggestions, then they will come up with others. So this will be backwards, maybe
Yeah.
backwards. So
Oh, no, it's not.
conversations with kids. Um, You know what I did with this book? In fact, I wrote a blog post about it, a book review.
We can
I
link to that too.
I had taken every one of those 30 conversations and cut them onto strips of paper and put them in a jar. And we haven't done this since day one. We haven't actually had time to do this. But I told my kids, one thing we could do, because they really enjoyed this before, is to pull out a conversation. We're not going to spend all day talking about this conversation, but maybe when we meet for dinner, this is a way to catch up and think about a topic. Like I just opened it up, and on topic number 3 is social media. So, but you could also do a question of the day in the morning at breakfast if your kids are younger. Like, what's the topic of the day that we're going to answer? I know, again, for every family, it's going to be different, but honestly, it doesn't take a lot to get kids busy. It doesn't. You're looking at me like, I don't know.
I'm not
I
looking
don't
at you.
know.
I'm actually pulling up the link to put it in our chat.
Oh, okay. The other thing I've talked to my kids about is like daily physical activity.
Yeah.
And this isn't huge either. This isn't like, okay, we have to have a workout, we have to have everything structured. They just know that part of their day is outside.
Mm-hmm.
And they go and do it, and they've been shooting hoops at the park. The court's not filled with people. They can go and shoot the basket around. We've got a dog. They know that that's their responsibility to take the dog for the walk. But it's so important to get outside, because outside is healing.
Well, yeah, preferably, and it's referred to as green time, right? We want to be in nature if we can. Something that's been different about this time is that makes it different than summer vacation is that it's cold some places where people are still.
Yeah,
And,
it's not warm here, but guess what? We've got hats and we've got coats.
right? There are indoor activities that we can do too. We like to do kid yoga at our house,
Oh, you mean inside your own home?
Yeah.
Not going to the local gym, which is now closed.
Preferably we can get outside, but yeah, there are a lot of, like our family, we do martial arts and now our school is closed. Yeah. So we can't go and do that. But we can still, we're trying to train at the house and we're trying to, work in our kid yoga. We have these cool cards that have, maybe I'll pull them out.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, talk amongst yourselves. I'll show my yoga cards.
Okay. Well, one thing, I don't want you to disappear too far away, Melody, because one thing that we haven't discussed yet and is so important is, oh, there we go. Oh, those are adorable.
Those are super cool. They have like, see?
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah, that's what we do at our house. So
I love it.
Anyway.
I'm a yoga fan.
Yeah.
Yoga with Adrienne. She's my friend.
Doesn't
know who I am, but I consider her a close friend.
I have to start doing that.
Anyway, screens. We have not talked about screens. I've already admitted that when my kids wake up in the morning, the first thing they're going to do is go and watch television. And I've said, hey, do that. You're going to have just don't do it all day. Like limit it to 2 or 3 shows,
Right.
short shows, and then take your break and get outside.
Well, it's a different thing to use it as a tool than to use it as the default, like, I don't care about you, like, go away.
Yeah.
Right? Because we were talking about making it work for us, because they do it so that we can be on a video conference, or it's to help achieve the needs of the family, right?
Yes.
We are meeting a lot of needs right now. Like, we're having to cook and clean and work and be, like, make the list for your family, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay to use it as
okay. So part of that family power meeting is reviewing the screen safety.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We don't want to just throw the iPad at our kids and say YouTube for X number of hours or X number of minutes. It's to review, okay, what are our safety protocols when it comes to screens? And we've got that on the opt-in that Melody and I have prepared for you. But this is a really key component, because we don't want to be telling our kids, these are your restrictions on screens. We want our kids to understand what they should be doing to navigate safely on screens themselves. This is really important to get them to be taking ownership for that with your help.
Right. And we always talk about that. And that's kind of our MO, right? But it's going to be especially true right now because let's be honest, we're probably going to be spending more time on screens right now than we usually are. Like, we don't love it, but that's reality, right? Our kids are being asked to do school online, a lot of them. We're at home with our kids. A lot of us are being asked to work remotely. Like, it's just the way. And don't be hard on yourselves. We're going to move into this, right, Marilyn?
Yep.
Don't be so hard on yourselves about that, because this is not forever. We may need to adjust a little and put different expectations on ourselves and our kids and our families about what screen time is in our families right now.
Okay, for a prime example, we have a rule in our home, a basic general rule, that on school nights, there's no screen time, or there's no video games. I shouldn't say there's no screen time. We have no video games on a school night. Well, all of a sudden, we have 3 weeks of no school nights, right? So we need to talk about that and make modifications and how much screen time and how much video game time do we want to include. Now, for my kids, I've said, why is it that mom would even want to limit it? Like, why do I want to limit video games? And they give me all the standard answers. Well, because we don't want to be addicted, or we don't want to do this. And I was like, okay, but really, what drives me the craziest when you spend too much time on screens? What is it, Melody?
Because they get all bratty and
really grumpy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and they know that. They know how they act when they do that. And so, because we have this dialogue back and forth, it's not just me telling them what they can and can't do. They're learning to modify their behavior so that they can still be normal human beings at the end of the day.
Well, my kids too, migraines run in our family. So if we push it too hard, we get migraines. And so there's like actually a health reason so I'm like, I know you want to push it, but you're going to be sorry later, so we gotta still have boundaries in place, but it's so important that we explain why.
Explain why.
Right?
Talk to kids about pornography. Talk to them about the dangers of pornography. You've probably already done this, but do it again. Great time to review.
Yep, absolutely. So we're going to go on to the be kind to yourself part. Yes?
Absolutely.
We talked about it a little bit. I just got an email from our web lady, actually. Did you read it right before this? She said, I know you've probably gotten all of these emails from everybody, but I'm sending you one too, and I just want us to have a little grace for ourselves, is the way that she put it. And I just love that she phrased it that way. She was saying, have a little grace with me because I am now adding homeschool mom to
that one, now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm now adding homeschool mom to a kindergartner to everything else that I do, being, web admin to a bajillion websites, and things may take me a little longer right now. So just,
Tell us about your day yesterday, Melody. I really want to hear about your day.
My day? Okay, so it's really, what are we going to focus on? Are we going to focus on the positive or the negative of how we're parenting right now? I was thinking about this as I was finishing the day, and I'm going to start at the end to get to this point, right? I was finishing my day and I was really frustrated at myself because I set up all these expectations for myself that I was going to be with my child, and I'm only going to spend this much time working and this much time with my child. And I was on the computer a lot, and my child watched a lot of TV, and I was still in my pajamas, and I had fed everybody breakfast for dinner.
Today we're all showered and cleaned up, but yesterday neither of us were.
No, we talked to each other and we're like, hey, how's it going? So, but at the end of the day, I looked around, and my room, which was a disaster, I might add, I started looking around and I was like, oh, there's a board game at the end of my bed because I played a board game after dinner. And yeah, I rolled out of bed at a clock. And
what was that? You don't have to say.
But when I did, I went downstairs and helped my kid learn how to cook an egg by himself. And then after I worked for a little while, I went chasing him on his skateboard, which I really need to get in shape. And that, so like there was such a mixture of like ebbing and flowing and like a organic. And it was funny because my husband called me in the middle of the day and I was on the computer at that moment, and my child was watching like I'm not going to say how many hours of TV at that point. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, working and being a terrible mother. And I really did feel like that. But at the end of the day, I was like, we're all learning. We're all figuring this out. We're all trying to strike our balance. And are we going to focus on what we're doing right and what we're trying to do? Or are we going to focus on smashing ourselves over the head for, having to do what we got to do with some of these things, right?
Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, because we just had, actually the show has not gone live yet, but we just spoke with Brett Ullman recently, who talks about parenting and building strong foundations and how to talk to kids about pretty much anything. But one of the things he said was, it's those million different little interactions that you have throughout the day. And he wanted us to cut ourselves some slack. We always want to have dinner together. Mm-hmm. But he said that dinner doesn't have to look the same every time. So our kids during this time, I honestly feel like we're going to have the first week is going to take us a lot of adjustment to get into this new routine. And then we're going to get into it. And then all of a sudden we're going to be coming out of it. At least let's hope that's what's going to happen. Yeah. But it's the time that you do spend with your kids, or the time that it's that power meeting that you have to set them up to be successful through the day. Yeah, there's going to be arguments. Yeah, there's going to be screen time. Yeah, there's going to be meltdowns, especially at the beginning, because it's new to everyone and stress levels are high. But what do you do in the in-between time? What do you do for that 20 minutes that you go skateboarding with your son, right? What do you do for that dinner time when you've had him help you prep dinner with you? That's not all day. You still have to get your work done. What impact does that have for your child to see that mom or dad does provide for the family by working, and that they know that you have to do that each day, and that they now are involved in helping that happen? Like all those million little things are going to add up. And because you're doing this together and you're not just throwing the screen at them, or you're not just doing that with them, or just not ignoring them, and that you're doing your best to be with them as much as you can, but within reason, all of that is going to have a positive outcome in the end. You're going to, I mean, ideally, this is going to bring us together stronger as a family.
Yeah, we hope so. So all you guys out there, are your kids alive? Are you alive? Like, how are you? Pat yourself on the back. You're doing your best. We're trying to keep it together, right? You have some questions for us to assess, Marilyn, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Are you getting outside daily? Are you having face-to-face interactions? When I read these questions, I hope you don't think, I'm not doing this every minute of every day. Like, are you doing this as part of your day? Are you having dinner together? Are you following up with your kids at dinner to see how their day went? Are you watching a show together at the end of the day? My kids love it when we actually watch a movie or show together. Like, I'm done, I'm spent by the end of the day, so make it family time, right? Are you getting kids some of the attention that they need? Like, are you rearranging your work schedule around providing some time for them? That might mean you work in the evening. That might mean you work earlier in the morning and you have that period in the middle of the day.
I'm sorry. I did. I took a break. I cut off at noon. I spent the day with my kid, and I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning making up for it.
Don't kill yourself. Okay?
I know. I'm tired. I'm tired. But you said, I just want to interject this really. Giving attention to your child doesn't have to be like 15 hours. Even just if you're at the computer when they're talking to you, like breaking eye contact and looking at them, like that counts, like check.
And sometimes it's breaking contact with the computer, looking at them and reminding them, Mom is at work right now, and I will be back with you in 60 minutes.
But I love you.
But I love you still. Okay. I think that's pretty much a wrap for today.
Yep. We love you. We believe in you. And it's going to be okay, and we will get through this.
Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your kids. Be kind to your neighbors. And we will thrive throughout this crisis.
Catch you on the podcast.
Bye.